I've seen this happen a bunch of times. I don't know how many times this has happened, but you started teaching Monoplata at camps a few years ago.
If you don't know what Monoplata is, I first learned it from Marcelo Garcia back when I was a purple belt, so 2007, 2008. And just a couple years ago, I revisited it. I just noticed it's just there in a bunch of different positions I like to use, especially a certain kind of mount I'd like to share with you guys that I found it's hard for me as a smaller person maintaining mount, especially on somebody bigger like Nelson or somebody really squirmy like myself. So it's real quick, let me just show you. If I mount Nelson, it's hard for me to stay here just square with him, right? So before I even take mount, I like to pin this bicep with my shin here. So now when he starts to turn into me and even reach for an underhook, I let him. And I step over with my free leg. And then I can pinch my knees. And then, now that Nelson's shoulders are no longer on the mat, I have more control of his upper body. I can stay balanced because I have more active toes instead of just trying to sit on him. He can move less, I can move more. I probably feel a little heavier with having less space versus if he's like this. So, my favorite mount right here, and now I have the whole shoulder and neck exposed for the Monoplata I'd like to share with y'all. Okay, so first getting into the mount, one more time. I've got side control on Nelson. I like to open my knee here and pin his bicep to the mat. I'm actually connecting my shin to his bicep, and it just keeps his whole arm flat on the mat, keeping my toes pointed close to his armpit here. He starts to turn into me. I let him get the underhook, okay? He thinks he has something here. He might be coming up for a single leg, coming up to his knees, whatever have you. I have my free leg. I just step as close as I can to the back of his shoulders. As soon as I'm comfortable and he's slowed down a little bit, I can guide my shin with my free hand here. I want it right under his jaw, okay? And now we're gonna walk down. We go nice and slow here so we don't hurt our partners, okay? And I just pull on my knee for the tap, pointing my heel down, keeping my knees pinched. For a more devastating submission, I can scoot my hips. Bam, this way. That would really, really hurt your partner, but we don't want to do that. We want to take nice and slow.
Are you doing anything to keep my arm in place?
Just keeping my knees pinched on top. So, one more time. Pin, step around. I'm guiding his shoulder up. I'm letting him stay here. I'm letting him come into the move. I'm not forcing Nelson to do these movements at all. It's very natural for him to want to come up on his side here. So I'm ready for it to catch. The closer my foot is to his head, the better. The tighter my knees are pinched, the better, okay? So I can sit on him, but I can still use my hands to help free weight off of my legs so they can move right under his face here. I'm nice and tight. My hips are connected to his armpit. I'm not too far back here. I'm being as close to my partner's head as possible as I walk myself back down to the mat here, okay? Pulling on my knee, trying to point my top heel down to the mat, keeping this leg tight over his chest, okay? So he can't try to walk away from me. Again, the closer my knees are together, the better. Pull, pull. Adjust my hips a little bit for the tap. Again, the closest to his armpit, the better. If I'm out here, it turns into more of an arm bar. But the tighter I am here, I get the nice bend. I get the nice bend in his elbow, so I can put pressure on his shoulder for the Monoplata. So another scenario is I get in a mount here and someone's super defensive and they just bear hug, yeah, nice. And this is actually pretty common, like for people fighting or just people are a little newer, they're not really sure what to do, they're not trying to escape, they're just defending. They feel like this is their safe place because now I can't get any leverage to try anything. Well, yes I can. All I do is scoot up a little bit higher here, again pinching my knees, and I can pick a side. Nelson's giving me either shoulder to attack. So I'm just going to lean to the side, away from the side I would like to attack, so that leg can come up. okay? Again, the closer my feet are to Nelson's head, the better, and the higher I am in his armpit, the better. Because see how easy it is for him to just go on his side, versus if I'm back here, he stays down, and that's not what I want either. I'm giving him space to move now. So he bear hugs me. I just scoot up a little bit, say thank you, Nelson. Boom, nice and tight. He's already on his side here. I push on his bicep now, so I can scoot and pass this leg around. This way his arm stays out of the way. My foot is in that little pocket there between his jaw and his shoulder. And again, walk down, so I don't devastate him. And I can practice again. Pointing the heel down. For the tap. Okay, let's talk about when we go for a mounted triangle and we don't get it. Monoplata is a good plan B. So I'm on Nelson here. I'm setting up my triangle, so I pin the hand, go to step around, right? But now he's trying to pin his head to the mat. He's giving me a horrible angle, right? All I have to do is lean a little bit so this leg is light and can pass around. Now it's nice and tight. Bam. So let's talk about from the guard, and I'm setting up the omoplata. This was the first way I actually learned how to do a monoplata. So I'm going for an omoplata here, and Nelson is really tight on that bottom leg, so now I can't escape and sit out to get my angle to sit up on him for the omoplata. I can still pass this leg around though. It's important I still get under his jaw here and point my knee down. And now I can still push off of those bottom toes here, whether they're on his hips or on the mat. And I'm gonna go belly down. And now right here, Nelson has to roll. He has to roll, or he's gonna have a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So he goes, and I just roll with him. It's important, again, I use these hands to help myself sit up right away. So I can keep this foot across his face, point my heel down, move my hips, pull in the knee. Lots of pressure here, lots of pressure. So it doesn't matter that he wants to hold on to this leg here, because now it's on top of him, and we talked about how it needed to be pinned to his chest. So we just roll with it. So we're just set up an omoplata. He blocks that bottom leg here. Come up to my elbow, belly down, right away. Sit up, sit up, sit up, sit up. Shoot that leg across his jaw.
So for me, after you started doing this stuff, I started listening to it too. And I'll catch a lot of that mount situation we talked about, like going for the mounted triangle, the mounted triangle, but you get that arm up. But the biggest problem that I run into is sometimes I'm not pinching enough. So I'm not pinching enough, and I lose this angle. So what happens when you lose the angle and the shoulder lock's not there anymore?
Yeah, me too. And the armbar is an excellent option. Partners are going to try to twist and turn. We lose the space, that connection between your hips, your groin, and their armpit, and the arm can get extended, and that's okay. As long as our goal is the monoplata, and as we start to lose it, it is a really tight armbar. 2 arm bars that we end up getting is, so we come up here just from the first move, boom, I go to sit around, I start to lose it, he's aware of what's happening, right? His shoulder turns, still pinch our knees, heavy with our legs. We can come back to an armbar this way. We might start to fall back. It's just important. I like to grab the meaty part of their thumb to make sure their thumb is still pointed up. Pinching, biting down with our legs. Or the other option, maybe say from our mounted triangle. Boom, boom. Sometimes we can stay on top here. We feel like their arm's not quite twisting. I can't quite pass that leg all the way around for a comfortable monoplata. Stay on top. All our arm bars are there too. Gogoplatas are there too. But I like to really push for that monoplata, and then if that doesn't work, my other options are much more available. rather than trying to set up an arm bar and trying to come back to the monoplata. It ends up getting really loose. But really trying to stay that tight bend in the arm, and as we start to lose it, they're giving you an arm bar. They're giving you a choke. They're opening up their neck.
But I think the one thing is, it's like a funky submission, and there's a lot of positioning involved. So like a lot of lower belts kind of like half-assed. They're like, I just catch the armbar on the way out kind of thing. But like you really need to put that pressure on the shoulder to open up the armbar.
Right, like a good armbar, it starts at the shoulder. Like you need total arm control, not just wrist control, not just elbow control. You need all the joints connected for that armbar to work. Same like a leg lock. They talk about leg control first before you even start to go for any sort of foot locks. Like Nelson addresses this a lot, is just starting at the hip, you know, instead of just trying to get that ankle and hope for the best, right? So it's the same thing, like monoplata, like start with the shoulder, start with that arm control, and then other things will open up more as you keep that control.